There are so many layers to this world and the things that are unfolding here that are affecting us all, from the manipulation to all the agendas, the media. When you start stepping away from the reality that we all share and looking at the pieces and components that are at play and see how there is a multi-layered, multifaceted, multi-dimensional thing going on here, it's no wonder that no one man ever saved the world, shown the world the light, or any of the above. Because human beings have such different beliefs from person to person, and ideologies and versions of morality from culture to culture, country to country, religion to religion, all those things, and create a divided world, there is no one human that is going to unify us all. No one that has ever done that. Buddha only affected his area of the world. He didn't enlighten the world. Jesus, in the way the stories show, didn't enlighten the world. The Son of God couldn't wake up the world. There's nothing that's going to unify all of us. Psychologies are so different between person to person. Belief systems, perceptions, they're all so different. And the sad thing is that those who are the more ignorant and less awake among us, deeply rooted in their ego, tell themselves and argue that they know what's going on, that they know the truth. They will argue with those that know the truth, that tell them things that defy what they believe, what they think. And when you trace what they believe and what they think back to its origin, it's largely mainstream media that's been handing everybody a manipulated version of reality for them to perceive, for their perception to interpret as real. With that many people all divided as they are and having different beliefs and perceptions and ideologies and morality to create chaos, all you have to do is stir. What is very alarming for me is the way the mind control has affected the minds of everybody. When those that are younger, are combative with, argumentative with, are rooted in their egos and think they know more than somebody that's got more years experience in life, in analyzing the world, in the systems in it, in analyzing human behavior. When you are someone that spent 30 years of your life doing these things, possess a level of knowledge, understanding, comprehension, it is far more accurate and true to form for the collective shared reality that we're all experiencing. The things of substance of this world, of human condition, interactions, narcissism, government, the systems of the world, the spiritual stuff. There's not much about me where you can look at me and say, yeah, this guy's a dumbass. I've been doing this shit for a while, and I am constantly running into people's ego. Not everybody wants to hear what you've got to say. Well, I've been running into people that just the mere attempt causes it to become resistant, to become shitty. It causes things to go off the rails. There's resistance in it. I don't want your influence. And the most bizarre psychology coming out of these younger people, and I don't understand it because we always used to listen and learn from those who know more than us. We never used to judge and be in our ego and say, oh, I'm too arrogant and too in my ego that I think it's just like, it's the most ridiculous psychology. And the problems that the world faces are going to require human beings that live and exist and put their feet on the ground in this world to interact with it, to make any meaningful change. They don't have the awareness. They don't have the full spectrum understanding because many of them have been on the hamster wheel. Get up, go to work, pay your bills, pay your taxes, raise your kids, or whatever else you're doing to have a life. Who has time to take in all this negative information about what's going on that all these people who want to stay in the positive, man, just don't want to have time for it. Plus people living in their bliss bubble, plus people who don't want their bliss bubble popped, plus people who know it's bad, they don't want to know. You've got people across the spectrum that are in denial, that quite literally psychologically couldn't handle knowing the truth, psychologically don't want to know the truth because something in them knows that it will be painful. You've got a lot of people who are in resistance to the truth because the truth will pop their bubble of perception, it will disrupt their comfort. And the reason I find all this as offensive as I do is because I understand the gravity of the position that humankind is in and the place in the world that humans are in. And when I realize that and feel compelled to share knowledge with people who are then resistant, when you were actually coming from a decent place, a loving, kind, giving, genuine, well, holy fuck. So the more I go out into the world and interact with people, and when you look at the psychologies of these younger folks, hammered into hammered shit, and made your ignorant and non-experienced become so full of yourself, so arrogant, so locked in an ego, when if you actually understood the gravity of what you don't know, it's really disheartening. The psychologies of people, psychological children, psychological fragility, emotional children, the things that the media, Hollywood, society, our schools have been doing. And when you're telling them shit that they don't know, that they haven't heard of, that they don't believe, and they get argumentative with you rather than inquisitive to ask questions, why do you say what you say? These things, these corrupt aliens, whatever they are, they've been working on human development and toxifying human development, thereby toxifying human psychology, the human emotional body, body, thereby the human emotional response. And think about it, when you're dealing with a grown-up children who's stomping his foot and is strong and aggressive, how are you going to get past that? Meanwhile, the evil pricks that run the world still continuing to push forth their agenda. We've got these psychological children games going on, these emotional children going on. People still aren't stepping into awareness of the gravity of what's going on, what the truth is, what the agenda is. They're not looking at all of the pieces because, well, they got to get up, go to work, pay the bills, pay the taxes. Think about it. They've made the world so that everybody's so distracted they don't have the time to take it in. They've made the world so full of flashing lights and shiny objects that people are too goddamn distracted to care. They've painted the world full of Hollywood and media and titties and all these things so that even in the midst of what's going on now, people are still distracted. And people's perceptions are so myopic, narrow, that they don't have the ability, because of their ignorance and their lack of taking in information that lends itself to knowledge and understanding, they don't have the ability to perceive the threat to humankind that we've been facing for this last solid year, that it has been as obvious as it has. It shows how programmable people are and how deep into the mind the programming goes when it comes off the television. It literally modifies their behavior. Most people won't take the time to analyze all of this stuff. Look at the shit show the relationships between men and women are these days. It goes on and on. But hey, God loves you. Jesus is coming to save you. Got 579 subscribers here. None of this is waking up the world. What's it all for? All the love and light people, what are they doing? All the people that are supposedly in the spiritual stuff, they're always in their happy place, their happy vibration. Look at you like you're the devil. Meanwhile, they continue to tell themselves that keeping their vibration high is somehow going to change anything. But their little selfish microcosm of their reality, the world still continues to be everything that they're denying that it actually is. Being in their happy place and not accepting the negative. Nobody wants to look at the reality of the world. They just want to stay in their own little happy bubble. Meanwhile, the tyranny still continues to unfold. It's insanity to me. It's a lunacy to me. It is antithetical to human life. How could they break human beings so goddamn badly? Oh, I can tell you, because we're psychological beings that are born with no inherent defense mechanisms of the aspect of us that is at the core of what we are, our psychology, our mind, our perception. So we're ripe for manipulation, which is why all this manipulation has been coming at humankind, and it starts when we're in diapers, and it never stops. Look at the results by looking at the responses of men throughout the entire world through this. Look at the perceptions of the vast majority of the world a solid year later, relevant to what's truly going on and all this other stuff. Look at the results of how easy it was for them to socially engineer the world. Look at the results of the corporations that are pushing this agenda, the airlines, the grocery stores, the big box stores. When you go in there, pushing it, you're going to hear it constantly pushed into your head over the intercoms. There's nobody enforcing it in some states, and then there's masked Nazis in other states. There's nothing consistent about this. I went from one place to another through this process, one state to another. The people in the state that I'm in now have had it relatively good throughout the vast majority of this year and haven't experienced the profoundly negative effects. They don't understand shit, and you can't convince these people on the fly because they already have their own perceptions. They don't know. They don't care. They're in their bubble. And when you have such a substantial portion of the world, I don't know how big it is, but a lot of them, they're in their own little bubble, their own little world. Don't fucking hash my mellow, man. Don't fucking pop my bliss bubble. Don't fuck with my perception. Don't hand me information that's going to tell me the world is a different place than I want to believe that it is. They're just going to refuse to believe the fucking truth because they're stuck in the trance of believing what they've always been taught to believe off television. So, hey, you're being negative, man. All kinds of criticisms and ridicule from the lesser aware, lesser minds, from lesser beings that are lesser in every way. So let this be a warning to some of you, those of you that care. Educating yourself too far, too much, will separate you from the herd in a way where there's going to be a disconnect that's going to be almost irreparable, and that you're going to have to realize that you've separated yourself from the herd. You're no longer a part of the herd, and in many respects, you speak a different language than the herd, and because they're the herd, most of them are 10, 15, 20 steps below where you are, having separated yourself so far through your own self-education, diligent research, and all that other stuff. You end up separating yourself from the herd to a degree where almost what you have to say to them is like casting pearls among swine. They're just not going to understand it. They won't have the foundation of information from which to understand what it is you're telling them. Or, hey, they're going to have their own beliefs and their egos are going to fire off. And then they're going to get attacking towards you because their ego wants them to be the one that knows. And if you come in and you know more than them, that threatens their place, and then their ego fires off. Then they become nasty with you because just you being you somehow threatens them. It's just like like, you gotta be kidding me. How did I wake up in this world? How did I be born into this world? How did I get into this ridiculous place? And seeing how profoundly they have manipulated human psychology. And when I talk about that, I mean down into the subconscious level, where the human is first going to have to recognize the goddamn damage and the corruption and the poison and the toxin, put it into their subconscious mind, and then do the work to reverse it before they're even going to get back to a goddamn default base level state. And nobody's going to be able to do that work for them. So yeah, that's quite the pickle humanity is in. Half of me understands, and I have compassion. The other half of me doesn't give a shit. It's really sad. Most people are dumb, ignorant animals. They don't understand the Achilles heel that ignorance is for the human species, and they don't understand how their ignorance is being taken advantage of through all this global hoax and all the ripple effects that we're seeing taking place in our societies around the world. They don't have the perception. This is all the work of psychopaths, billionaires, and malignant psychological profiles that are in human meat sacks, that are in positions of control and power. And this is their will being imposed on the whole species, and the whole species doesn't have the perception to realize what's being done and do anything back. So this is sad. And you just gotta wonder how many of these people truly are NPCs, truly are soulless meat sacks, truly are the evil and genetic code of the Nephilim that are here to just destroy shit, versus how many are real. It's like there's so few of us here that are real human beings that really have a heart, feel empathy, sympathy, compassion, guilt, remorse, shame, are not merciless, are not ruthless. There's just so few of us here. I don't have a place right now. And when you're dealing with that kind of shit, it kind of just makes it hard to go real deep and be philosophical. This really is, it has been said by others, a very cold, very cruel world. I'm really surprised I've managed to make it this long without quite literally eating a bullet. These people are seeking to be led by something they don't know. So they don't understand the puppet strings they're creating for themselves or that are there. It's truly alien manipulation that goes to the roots of human perception the same way religion goes to the roots of human perception. Why don't people's minds question the God story when you start looking at the reality of the world that this supposed God put us in? They don't ask the questions. Why did you put us in a world that you knew was run by your quote-unquote arch nemesis? Why did you do this to us? Or, hey, let's get out of the religious mindset and get into the Sumerian techno. Why did the gods come down here and manipulate us, make us to be slaves, and then not just wipe us out? They left us alive, left their half-breeds here to control us and torment us and kill us in cycles of war and all the other stuff. Humans don't have the capacity to ask these questions, to seek these answers, to contemplate it. Oh, hey, life is what you make it. These cliche statements has caused my mind to learn these things, to go down these rabbit holes, to seek answers to these various things, seeing the horrors of this world for what they truly are. And there's too few people, once you get that far out there, find that are on your same wavelength. And if you get lucky enough to meet somebody worth a shit on your path, hey, good for you, but don't hold your breath. It's lonely at the top. Well, it also applies. It's lonely when you separate yourself from the herd. Waking up in this world wakes you up to the nightmare, and you just gotta wonder what it's for. Anyway, that's what I got. Take it easy, people. I think this is all part of a massive alien deception on the human race. Pain. Why is it so painful in this world? Anyway, that's what I got. Take it easy, people.